Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the What the Sheep podcast. Tonight we will be discussing and breaking down episode 99 of Campaign 2 of Critical Role. And honestly, first impressions, this was a lot more of a lot tamer of an episode, I would say, than the previous one.
Yeah.
Definitely not as chaotic. We didn't have a wild fight there at the end, but definitely
Could have been.
it could have been real bad. But honestly, everything worked out.
Worked out pretty well. Yeah.
But initial thing.
I don't know, because we didn't see what happened on the boat, and it was just all like
True.
yes, and you see the mirrors,
Yeah.
and it's like something else is going down here that we're not aware of. If we, like Jester said, it's like if we could just hear it, it would make so much more sense.
Yeah.
That's true.
I really like that though. I think that's cool. That
Yeah, it adds like a
to
layer of
actually
like mystery.
hear
Like,
it.
ooh, we don't know.
Yeah.
We're not in the know this time.
Yeah.
We have no idea. But we can go into that a little bit more later once we get through the episode. But just the first 10 minutes of the episode were pretty intense, especially with the way Matt was describing the Revivify spell on Ford. He was making it seem like it wasn't going to work because Caduceus only rolled like an 11, I think.
Yeah.
Really low. So I was wondering if the DC was like 12 or 13 or something, because he hasn't died yet. So I think the base is 10. I think
it's 10. Yeah.
Yeah. It starts at 10.
But I wasn't sure about the rules for that, so I was like, oh no, it's not gonna work. But then it was fine.
But going back a bit, can we make a point about 5 years? I didn't realize it was 5 years.
Oh, yes.
5?
Yeah.
Jesus, I thought it was like 3 or 4.
5 years.
My God. 5 years I've been watching these guys and making crazy edits of them and following all sorts of new friends like your good selves.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was that. And somebody please needs to make an edit of Sam's song at the beginning because it was so touching.
I wrote that down.
Fantastic.
I was like, edit for Sam's song?
Yeah. I thought this isn't something that I could do well. This is something for one of you guys to spend some time on. Still very similar to the Valentine's edit. Like, did you see the section they did in the middle with the thank you messages that they gave in the break?
Yes. All the videos they recorded.
Yeah, that was incredibly touching as well.
That was lovely,
it was. Yeah, that was crazy. 5 years is actually insane when you see how much they've grown and expanded from when they first began. It's actually insane, and definitely something that I'm proud to be a part of. Or like a part of the community that's been growing out of it. But man, I can't imagine what the next 5 years is going to bring. Obviously, in the next 5 years, we're going to have the Legends of Vox Machina, and who knows what else. Absolutely
super
crazy.
Exciting.
Yeah. Definitely.
Trying to think of what I was doing 5 years ago, and it's just like.
Yeah, 5 years ago, what was that? 2015. I think I was just. No, I wasn't even working at the movie theater then. I didn't even know Critical Role existed.
I had just finished university, so I was just starting my career.
Yeah.
And didn't even
really
know about D&D, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I've had 6 jobs in that time.
Hey!
I've had probably quite a few as well. Not 6, but maybe like 2 or 3, but yeah. Oof. The next 5 years.
3 times as well.
Oh, man.
It's fun.
I did like
that's
Laura's
all of high school for you, Araflux? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 5 years is a little bit more than a high school, so absolutely insane. But I'm excited to see what the next 5 years are going to bring. Because I know one of them in their messages was saying how they've got a lot of exciting things planned for the next 5 years to come. So
yeah,
it's definitely exciting. But yeah, cheers for 5 years and for many more to come.
Cheers. Yeah.
But yeah, back to Ford almost dying.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very touching and heartwarming imagery of seeing like all of the party members surround Ford. Caleb propping him up, Bo and Jester holding his hand, and Caduceus casting the spell. It was a nice picture, like mental picture, just seeing them all do that. I don't know what Veth was doing in that time. She's probably just watching, from a distance. But
Still in bed.
Yeah, definitely touching.
Yeah.
But I was worried that it wasn't going to work, but then obviously it did. And then Jester's little forehead kiss was super sweet as well.
Yeah. I like, because they made mention, when Travis got back, he was saying, like, yeah, it was up and down a bit, that whole scenario of not sure if it was actually going to work or not. But, yeah, and especially rolling in 11, that was a bit nerve-wracking.
You could see the doubt from Laura and Marisha as they mouth to each other, like, what does it not work? And Marisha actually went, 10. And it's like,
10, yeah.
It should be okay. But then they were still looking at Matt of like, wait, hang on, what's he about to
he might pull something.
So that was amusing to watch. But I thought it was a lot briefer than previous Revivifiers that they've been through in Resurrections. It was just kind of like, I mean, like Percy's first miss. I mean, that went on for 3 hours or so before he had a break.
I think he plays it different for Revivify versus a Resurrection.
Yeah.
So, but it makes me wonder if they fail a Revivify, does that increase the DC then for a Resurrection or a Raise Dead as well? So, yeah. I wonder.
Yeah.
Or is it just once it is successful, then the DC raises? Because that would just make it even more and more difficult if they're just trying to
make it
different
harder.
things.
Yeah.
Because they've only really got Raised Dead, I think, at this point, is what we figured out last week. So if the Revivify didn't work, that was their next step. And after that, well,
Yeah. We don't think about that. We don't think about what
of course we do.
We do, yeah. None of us know that true resurrection requires 25,000 gold pieces worth of diamonds.
This is Widogast What the If podcast.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That is true. But now I guess it's confirmed that Ford didn't die when he initially was brought by Uk'otoa. So because I know we speculated a little bit about that, how it might raise the DC since we thought he might have died because Uk'otoa brought him back, but luckily we're fine.
That Uk'otoa business, it's just absolute madness. It started off, it was like, Uk'otoa,
so much.
But then Sam was like, I'm not going to say his name. The name that should not be mentioned.
Yeah.
At one point, Laura said it and then whispered it immediately to herself.
Yeah.
You gotta keep the bit going.
Yeah. You can't give up on it.
That's great. And Orly survived as well.
Yeah. And
that
was the one that I was mainly
doing the bagpipe noise.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they had 2 diamonds worth 300 gold. I thought they only had 1. I thought that'd be the big dilemma, is like, who do we put in the Vault of Amber in order to...
I think they had one that was like 500 gold. I think they might have had to have... So but that's the problem now. They're completely out of diamonds.
But they do have the residuum that...
they do, yes, true.
That came in handy a little bit later.
700 gold of that left. So they've got at least 2 Revivifiers left.
Yeah.
But, man...
Yeah, thank God it worked out. But then the party gets a surprise visit from good old Vess DeRogna.
Yes,
which
finally.
Was pretty shocking because I don't remember Ludinus saying that she was going to be there. I thought he just said that she was in the know of everything that was going on. I didn't know she would actually be there.
Party.
What was that?
We didn't see her at the party at the gathering.
Oh no. No, she was not.
But she doesn't seem like the party type.
No. Yeah, she probably just teleported.
Very business. I like the way she arrived and his description of the dimension door, and suddenly none of you can move. And I'm thinking, that's whole person at like 4th or 5th level or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm curious about her job proposition that she was so, open to them about, after confirming that they weren't the assailants and then being like, hey, after all this blows over, if you're looking for some work, hit me up.
She was very interesting in the way that she was talking to Caleb as well, like especially in their conversation in Zemnian, talking about who to trust, who you can trust, or who is worthwhile working for, I guess, in that sense. I thought that was really interesting because it was obviously super cryptic, because she seems like a super cryptic person, but and then even later on when we had her and Ludinus together, their relationship seems a bit weird, at least to the extent that wizards are weird with each other. But I'm wondering if she's maybe a potential future ally, or is she just as screwed up as the rest of them? Like, I'm wondering if Caleb was maybe pushing to see what her deal was. Like, is she someone that we could eventually maybe trust? But no, I'm super excited. I think that was, we said last week, Matt was pushing a lot of stuff about the North, and this is just kind of repeating it. I think we were correct in saying he's setting up a future arc or what they can do after TravelerCon, because they don't really have anything else major on their list of things to do. Felt like they had a million things at one point, but no.
Yeah, I know. Now it's
freelance work again. So it'll be exciting to see if they actually go up to the North, or if they take some time off, like we've also.
I think Matt might force something on them, like the Siege of Amon. Like, I mean, in campaign 1, when they got to that point of like, what do we do now? We've killed the Briar Woods. We resolved that arc. Where do we develop to? And then he dropped the Siege of Amon on them. I was reading a few Reddit posts, people theorizing that the name that shall not be mentioned will come to bite them in some way, and that the reef that they're currently sailing around could actually be the name that shall not be mentioned. So I think they're going to have something imposed on them before they get a choice as to where they can go. We'll see.
I could see that. Especially if the party ultimately doesn't decide to go north or take Vess up on her proposition of a job opportunity.
I mean, if we've resolved the war, we've resolved their main character backstory plots like Veth and Caduceus and other things like that, then it's like, where do we go next? The GM has to basically offer them some olive branch and say, this is what's going to happen, do something with it. Yeah. So that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. And given that Vess DeRogna is the Archmage of Antiquities, it would make sense that a potential job would be sending the party up north to a historical or archaeological, dig site of Isocross or whatever the other name is. It's eluding me. Because I think Isocross is the region, but then there's an actual name of the city that was up there, I think.
Don't know. Can't remember.
Lynn would know. Because Lynn is the champion of lore. Uh-oh. We've lost...
We lost
Alana. No name cities yet. Okay. Technical difficulties, folks. Let me scroll down real quick. We've lost connection with Alana, but that is alright. I will disable the cams so you don't have to see our terrible mess. I should have made an overlay where it's 3, but that's okay. We'll try to get Alana back on here as soon as we can. But definitely, I would definitely be interested in a wintry or more northern landscape, because we've seen, the open fields of Wildmount. We've seen the desolate wastelands of Xhorhas. It'd be cool to get like a nice mountainy trek up north. Just a nice little change of scenery.
Nice. No, I like the journeys that they go on. I want them to meet the bandits again.
They somehow come across the bandits up in Isocross. Somehow, randomly, they're just up there.
Winter holiday.
Yeah, they're on a little vacation. Oh.
Hey.
We're back. We're back. Saved.
Hopefully.
Saved. Let's go.
Sorry about that.
No, all good. No. All good.
It's kind of stormy here at the moment, so the internet is a bit crap. Sorry about that. What are we talking about?
We were just talking about how them going up north would be a nice change of scenery. A nice wintry setting instead of wastelands or open fields and stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool.
They've not done any kind of snow or northern or ice based. Well, they did a bit, I guess.
A little bit, when they went to Galadon. And Uthadern, So we just got a little bit of a taste. We got a little nibble of some.
Exactly. That's super exciting if they go back up north again, if Galadon is still roaming about.
That'll be another thing coming into play. But it's an ancient white dragon, so they can't even fight her. I think Galadon's a girl.
Yeah.
So they can't even fight her.
No, they can't even try it.
Yeah.
They can try. They absolutely can try. But holy
they could
crap.
Probably deal with it. It would be a tough fight. But
it would be super tough, yeah.
Well, I mean, probably.
It's definitely a deadly encounter.
But like one ice breath or cold breath could like not kill. I don't think it could kill anyone. It could probably knock Caleb down.
What is it? It's like 12d6 or something, isn't it?
It's pretty hefty.
An ancient dragon. I'm looking it up. Probably shouldn't do too much on the internet, but I'll try.
And then if Matt is lucky and then gets the recharge off on it and then does it again, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
they fought Voragol in season 1 at around about the same rank. Level.
Did they?
Yeah.
No, I think they were like level 14 or something, weren't they?
Yeah, well, it's somewhere between 10 and 15. You can normally handle legendary items by then.
It's 12d8, is it?
Oof, yeah, that's...
right? Which is average 72, which is definitely Caleb's, like, more than Caleb's HP, I'm fairly certain, so... But,
that's pretty rough.
It's not much less than the Dragon Turtle, so they'll be...
That's true, because now they got to deal with the Dragon Turtle at the end of the episode, but we'll get to that. But there wasn't really... Yeah. There wasn't really much else, like a lot of like impactful stuff that happened early on in this episode. Once
I thought the talk with the dead, the speak with the dead, scenario was really cool.
Yeah.
I like how they progressively made their way through it, and goddamn Jester, her attempt was the
voice.
Best. It was
so good.
It's like her with sending. It's like you never know what to expect. So her being given this power to speak to the dead and just extract information from it was wonderful to watch.
It's so great.
Just so joyful. But
yeah,
she passed a really good deception check.
The noise.
Oh yeah.
How does that go again? And she's like, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just as accent at that point, which is like, what do we know? Oh, go great leader.
Yeah.
People totally guessing what she sounds like.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting what they were saying about, like, they were there for Ford as well as the orb. It wasn't just a matter of getting the orb and running away. They want the betrayer. They want to punish him, I guess, or maybe they need him to still perform the ritual. But I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think he's completely free of Uk'otoa now? Like, maybe not his scorn, but of his influence? Does he still have some? Because that seemed to be the physical connection, or at least the magical connection.
I don't think there's any influence remaining, because that would have to be a choice by the player in order to be influenced. Like it's a character thing that the GM would struggle to impose on them. It would seem unfair.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't think we've heard the last of Uk'otoa.
Yeah, definitely not.
Be coming back again and again and again. You're going to do it that way.
I did it under my breath.
Yeah, definitely think the connection is severed at this point. I think the orb was that last piece. Obviously we haven't heard the last of him, but I think if there is any kind of a connection still there, Matt sort of hinted at the fact or idea that the Wild Mother will protect him from any influence again. He sort of hinted at that a little bit, and then with the dream that Ford had of the comforting presence of the Wild Mother. So I think if Uk'otoa did try to reach into Ford, the Wild Mother would be there to back him up.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any more dreams from Uk'otoa, but I think they'll definitely. I think they're still going to try and hunt him down if they can.
Definitely.
Which was terrifying because they said, someone asked the question. I think it was Jester saying like, I can't remember the question, but the answer was essentially wherever there's water, we are, or something along those lines, which is terrifying. Yeah. Which is also quite heartbreaking for Ford, because if his background's a sailor, if he wants to, I don't know, they're going to have to deal with it if he ever wants to be able to be safe on the seas again. But no, it was a really cool scene. I really liked it. I liked them taking the orb and putting it in the amber. I thought that was very clever. Because it should be completely untrackable by that point.
I liked Caleb's point. It said, like, well, nobody can track me. And I thought, yeah, that's a good plan. So they can't track you, then they can't find this. So I'm worried if they do manage to get hold of Caleb, though. I mean, it's hanging around his neck, so yeah.
But I feel like also it's his spell. I mean, there's a lot of spells that are for storing things, but I think this is a spell he created, isn't it? So it'd be difficult for like anyone else to really crack it, I reckon, without knowing how to do it. But you know, obviously there are ways to make people do things, so
yeah. But can we quickly talk about, for me personally, this part was pretty hard to watch when Matt was describing the Greater Restoration take place on Ford, and how he was going through this crazy pain and his body was convulsing and he was writhing on the ground. That was just like really rough, because I look in the perspective of the other members of the party, how they're just like helplessly looking down at a dear friend going through this terrible pain, and there's nothing they can do to help him. You know, the spell just has to take place.
Jester was saying like, no, stop, you're hurting, like midway through the actual thing. I know that was probably just role play, but it was super visceral. But no, that was also super exciting.
yeah.
It's interesting to see how they handle trauma like that, though, because it can transpose very well to people in the real world's experiences and help them better deal with it. I know a few critters that have said, like, Critical Role has helped me understand my own pain and my own difficulties and find a way to resolve it. So it does have powerful meanings behind it on multiple levels that they maybe not be aware of. But I've noticed that the players or the cast of Critical Role tend to, and case in point, Ford's tattoo from Orly, as to it's right in between in the middles. That whole scene as well needs clipping and highlighting by somebody.
I forgot about that. Oh no, that's dreadful.
I mean, Matt's just like shaking his head through the majority of it, going like, "No, please don't take us there. Please don't take us there." But then he indulged them by dropping into Orly and saying, "I might want to bite down on that."
Yeah.
So
it's always the best when he caves.
They do this regularly, I've noticed, since around somewhere about episode 30, campaign 1. They realised that they built a momentum with their fan base, and they had thousands of talented and creative video editors and artists dotted around the world that they could prompt into action by describing certain scenes, like Ford was saying, or Travis was saying this evening. I can't wait to see the artwork of me with my legs in the air with Orly tattooing away. So they often prompt everybody to create and contribute through their in-character actions. And they do this not maliciously, but they're manipulative. And they basically say, I want this to be drawn. I want this to be clipped. And so they actually go and make it happen rather than just letting it happen. Starting to feel a little contrived, but at the same time, I truly appreciate it. Otherwise, that element of creativity wouldn't inspire me.
I think majority of the time it just comes as an afterthought. Like they're just having fun, so they do have those fun moments. And it's like you said, they do have the serious moments, and oftentimes role play is a really good way to talk through issues that a lot of people do feel the same way about. But then it's also important to have a quick laugh afterwards, or to, you know, decompress from a super serious scene. So I feel like a lot of time it's just, and I think that is a valid point what you said, but I think a lot of the time, in my opinion, it's just them being idiots, just having fun at a D&D table, and then the afterthought is, oh god, there might be fan art of that, or people are probably going to click that.
It started off like that. It started off with them like, oh my god, what is the fan artwork going to look like as a result of that scene? I can remember one of Mary in campaign 1. She's like, I can't wait for the artwork when we were describing Vex and Percy Vex are completely naked. But since then, it seems to have transposed into, I know that they're going to draw this, therefore I'm going to make something really, really ridiculously flamboyant, almost pornographic, for the benefit of all of the critters everywhere, and everybody will love it as a result. And it feels, I don't want to say scripted, because they certainly don't have a writer's room, but it's getting to be a regular theme, something that you fall back on, a trope, a trait. What's the word I'm looking for? A thing.
A thing.
It's a thing, you know, those things, doodads, what's it?
I think it's also just they are hyper aware of whatever they say will become fan art. There's another entertainment company I used to watch quite a lot, and they would say something and they'd all have a laugh and they'd be like, oh, that's a shirt. And then immediately, like 2 weeks later, there'd be a shirt available in their store. I think it's just a matter of they understand that their audience does listen to literally everything they say, and everything is open to art or even merchandise. But
they're very aware that they're constantly monitored by thousands of critters and thousands of people watching their every move. It's like, he just picked his nose.
Oh no. No, I'm super aware.
Yeah.
Don't touch your
I
face.
think Matt a while ago said, I want somebody to make a super edit of every time somebody's picked the nose. And I started working on it years ago.
Oh no!
I was like, no, I can't watch 400 hours for somebody picking the nose. You get distracted by the narrative.
We need crit roll stats on that.
Yep. We'll get them right on it.
I'm just trying to think. What did you guys think about Essek just appearing randomly on their ship during the peace talks?
Felt kind of random.
Yeah.
That didn't really make too much sense to me.
I thought he would be on the dynasty side of things.
Yeah, me too.
I thought for certain he would be like a part of the negotiations for the dynasty. I was surprised that it was the what was the name of the Bright Queen's guard? What was the name he gave her? Anyone in chat know? But yeah, they gave she had a really cool name. It was like the Shadow Knight or something, or Shadow Guard, or Anyway, I was surprised she was there because I kind of saw her as being the Bright Queen's bodyguard, but I think the way he described her was she's like the general of the army. So, but I definitely thought Essek would be as Essek on the dynasty side. Dusk Knight.
Dusk Knight.
Dusk
Dusk Captain was
Dusk something. So I thought for certain he'd be there. So when he's popping up again, still in the disguise of Thane, which just seems like if anyone's watching, then they're like, "What's that guy doing on the Mighty Nine boat?" Like,
true. That's true.
Thought that was a little.
I think maybe
strange,
I think maybe this is pure speculation and probably wrong.
Go for it.
But Matt could maybe tell that the party was disappointed that they weren't present for the negotiations. They weren't on that boat, so he gave them Essek to sort of tie them over until the negotiations were up. Gave them someone to talk to while the negotiations
or even
were
be like,
place.
"Look, he's not there either."
I'm really glad they didn't give in to their urges. I saw it from Sam, Marisha, Laura, of like, I want to listen in. How hard would it be? I can go invisible. I can walk on water. How can we get there? And every single time he's like, well, there would be wards, there would be protections. I don't want to jeopardize it. And they were like, yep, good point.
Yeah.
And then a few seconds later, one of the others would go like, hang on a minute though, but I could try this. And you're like, no, don't do it.
Don't do it. That's a bad idea.
So
I think you could see at one point, like Marisha says, maybe it was 4, but what's Frumpkin at the moment? And I think you can see Liam thinking, I should have made him a bird, or I should have done something else with him.
Travis asked the same question a few minutes later.
Yeah, it would have been so good to have known what was actually said, but at the same time, I mean, it went on for hours. It probably would have been a lot of boring political talk of discussing borders and discussing strategies and things like that. So I think because it is D&D, because it's Critical Role, in our heads, a lot of it was going to be, it's going to be this, back and forth verbal battle between the king and the queen, and it's going to be, super exciting, but it's just probably just like Parliament, just watching people discuss laws and things like that. So I found it interesting too. They didn't touch too much on, man, I'm bad tonight, I can't remember any names. The prisoner on the dynasty side, the one that they had initially interrogated in the prison with Essek, the one who I feel like the general consensus is he was a patsy, maybe? A dean, I feel like, thanks. I feel like they didn't bring that up much or discuss that much in terms of, I don't know. I feel like my conspiracy theory is still that Essek was behind setting that guy up. But they didn't seem too concerned about that being a possibility, or maybe they just didn't want to discuss it then. But he seems like he's now in the hands of the Empire. What's gonna poor dude?
I don't know. I didn't really understand the need for that prisoner exchange personally.
token
yeah.
effort. We've got one of yours, you've got one of ours. Fine, hand them over. We'll deal with them.
I guess because maybe the cult is still active to some extent. Oban's gone, but maybe they're still just trying to find to what extent
there's definitely other
in their country.
cultists around. Oban was just,
I hope we
one
haven't
sect.
seen the end of the Cult of Irons or like the Angel of Irons. Because I really enjoyed that aspect of like Thrasadun being a proper threat. So I'm hoping that's not completely finished at this stage. Maybe in the future we'll get to see more of that.
I think it'll link in with Ikuto somehow.
Yeah.
Don't say.
I didn't.
Well, it's shaping up because I've said it so many times before, but I really feel like Matt's end game for this campaign is a second Calamity. And I could definitely see, the release of Uk'otoa and this Angel of Irons Tharizdun being, at the forefront of that.
Have you seen, they've released some images of the map of Wildmount for the upcoming book, like the full map that was done by Devin Rue. There's only low-res images at the moment. I'm waiting for Tuesday. But they've got, on the east coast of Jorhas, it's a spit of land called the Teeth of Zahir, which is the snake god that was responsible for Uk'otoa. So I want them to go there now. I want them to go check out that region, and see what that, because that was the
right, because Uk'otoa isn't a betrayer god. He's just an avatar.
No, he's a demigod.
A demigod. Yeah. Zahir is a betrayer god.
Is a betrayer god. Yeah. So yeah, oh man, it's so good because there's so much lore and there's so much that's been hinted at these gods and these demigods, and like even the giant purple phoenix that was so long ago, and then we've recently seen a little bit again, like in the Hag region. I'm so excited, and I'm mildly concerned we won't get to see all of it because there's only so much you can get to in a whole campaign. I'm super excited for the guide coming out next week to see, like, we're probably gonna learn new things. I know Matt said there's not specific spoilers in it, but I want something.
It'll just be nice to have more information available to us about the details.
I think I'm going to try and not read about the North because I kind of want that to be revealed in game. I guess we think that's where they're going next. But yeah, no more war.
But back to Essek real quick.
Yes.
I touched on it a little bit in my Aftermath episode today, but the idea that the party seems rather split, or at least for Caleb, on what to do with Essek once everything's blown over, because it's very clear that Bo and Not want to see Essek punished, as well as the other people that had a hand in this terrible war. But Caleb definitely seems to be on the opposite mindset, where he doesn't want to see Essek punished, and he seemed rather frustrated about it once the conversation was over too.
I saw a really good post on Tumblr, and wouldn't you know it, I actually wrote down the person's name who said it this week.
Nice.
Because I wanted to be able to mention it, but it's Wildmount but with 2 V's instead of a W on Tumblr. They said a really good point was the way Liam was acting in that scene, or the way Caleb looked in that scene, where he looked really quite angry and hurt, and then he didn't go down to the bottom deck straight away. He stayed up on the top deck by himself after that whole conversation, because Veth was being very aggressive, I feel, about Essek, saying like, oh no, he needs to be punished, he needs to be held accountable. And the point they were making was, you've got your best friend now saying that this person that you see so much of yourself in, who has such a similar backstory to you, needs to be punished for their actions. And obviously they're different things, they've done different things, but Caleb spent, like, he poured out his soul at the live show saying like, you are like, I see you as me, like I see myself in you and the way you're feeling, and you can be redeemed, and allow us to help you, sort of thing. And then to have your best and closest friend say like, no, he's an evil person, he needs to be punished, he needs to face justice for his crimes. Caleb then obviously thinking, well, fuck, how do they feel about me, or why do they think I'm redeemable? I thought that was an excellent point.
exacerbate his suicidal tendencies to some degree. If he's in that situation where he just thinks, well, I can benefit the rest of the team at this point, and I can be punished for whatever happened before because Veth believes that should occur. It could be an incredibly traumatic scene.
Well, yeah, because I feel like, and we've talked about it recently, he's come to terms quite healthily with his past, or he's coming to that understanding. He had that conversation with Yasha, which we've talked about a bit before, but he's come to that conversation where maybe we can be redeemed, or maybe we can be forgiven. And it seems like he's had a very positive growth over the past couple of episodes of, I'm with my family now, maybe I don't want to do time travel, whatever. This is all speculation, but I'm becoming a better person, and I can be redeemed. And yet, suddenly just be like, oh, great. Well, maybe this is how my friends truly feel about me. He's always had those kind of self-doubting tendencies. I remember way back in it was episode 25 because it was right before Molly died. He was taking a watch by himself, and he was talking to himself about how he should leave. It's like saying, that's it, I'm leaving, that's it, I'm going. And he just sits there and waits. He's always had that kind of tendency, at least earlier, Caleb, to want to run or to distance himself from people because he doesn't deserve it. He'd be better off by himself. So I'd hate to see a recurrence of that, of him.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, well, maybe I should distance myself from these. It's super tragic. He's the definition of a tragic character.
Yeah.
That's going to be killed by his flaws, which hopefully is not going to happen. No,
I don't think he will. Yeah. Like this big statement of they can change you.
Yeah, I think also Liam is
illustrated in your video the other day.
Oh yeah, thank you. I feel like Liam, because he's always said he doesn't know what the future is going to be for Kayla, but you see him on talks and the way he talks about his progression. It's like a super beautiful thing that's happened with that character. He's grown so much, and I think you can see Liam is excited by that as well. I don't see him throwing it away after one conversation, but I love the way he role-played that. I love the way he acted that out of being upset by what had just been said. And even if it was just him being upset that his party disagreed with him, I think it was definitely more the idea of, well, they're talking about someone who reflects me so much. But no, such a good scene. But it was super aggressive of Beth.
Yeah.
Rightly so. She has a reason to be upset and angry at Essek. Everyone does. But no, I thought that was such a good scene. And someone mentioned, and you responded to them, do you think it will cause conflict within the party? Absolutely. I don't think they're going to come to a 100% agreement on what to do with Essek, or at least an agreement where everyone's happy with what to do with Essek, which is very different, I think, to the first campaign where they agreed quite heavily on a lot of things. Maybe Scanlan, they were sometimes a bit at odds about what he had done and things like that, but in terms of dealing with things, they talked it out and they normally came to a 100% conclusive decision. So this will be interesting what happens there.
Yeah, I think Essek will have a path to redemption, but I don't know quite what it will entail yet. But hopefully it will have... I don't think Essek is as offended as Caleb is about his past or his actions that have led him to this. He's more just kind of like, well, yeah, that kind of happened. Sorry if you're annoyed by that. What do you want me to do about it? Whereas Caleb is like, yes, I know you're upset about this. I'm upset about this, and I'm in turn not handling it terribly well. So hopefully Essek's path to redemption will be a learning branch for Caleb as well, of like, well, I don't need to go and do something tragic to myself in order to repay the debt that I caused.
Or even the opposite. Maybe Essek should learn to actually... It might come from just being a drow, being that kind of older elf race, but having a bit of humility in what he's actually done, because he seems to understand the severity of it, but like you said, he hasn't really shown too much emotion in terms of feeling bad about it, or
it doesn't really matter because he's is it consecuted, so if he dies he just comes back, So
Could be
that's
undone, though.
I mean, when you remove that, I mean, we've all got like that element of fear of death. When you remove that, and it's like, well, as long as I stay near to one of my cities and I can be reborn a later day, it's like, well, I don't really need to worry about the consequences of my actions.
He doesn't even seem to really express fear of being found out. He just kind of says, well, that would be bad if it happened. But I think that just might be the character himself. I think it's just his personality. Perhaps.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, Matt's always played him as like a really cool, calm, collected kind of guy. So he's not about to start breaking down and crying, I think, in front of these people. But no, I'm excited to see what eventually happens with Essek.
Yeah, but we kind of have to... Like, what could his punishment be? Because they can't really go to the Bright Queen, because then they would have to explain like why the war started in the first place and stuff, and that would be really bad because that could just reignite the war. I don't think they would want to kill him because, like you said, he would just be reborn if he's near a city, and I don't think they would ultimately decide to kill him anyways.
No.
But could they force him to take back his consecution and break that rebirth cycle?
That would then involve, I think, the Bright Queen. If he's like, hey, I want to undo it, she's like, why?
Yeah.
But I don't know, because they kept talking a lot about how it's justice. They want justice, which I found really interesting after last week's episode with Caduceus's whole speech. It feels like they forgot that immediately, or at least Beth forgot that immediately, of saying, remember why you're angry, remember what you want to happen, or why you want it to happen. We don't necessarily need to punish the people that did it. We just need to fix it, or we need to, like, make sure it doesn't happen again. So I felt interesting that it was straight back to, oh no, let's punish him for justice.
Yeah.
But it's totally in line with the characters. Like, Beth has always been super impulsive and aggressive. So I don't think it's in any way against character tropes, but I also feel a little thing about Beth, and this might be an unpopular opinion, she's not the best friend. Do you guys feel that at sometimes? I feel like sometimes she can be a bit, and it's not saying anything about Sam's roleplay, because I think it's excellent. I just think the character itself doesn't always pick the best things to say in terms of, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I don't know, it's just like she's been careless with Caleb's backstory a few times, like, sending the letter to Astrid, telling Yasha about Caleb, which I think a lot of times maybe does come from Sam forgetting things in roleplay, but no, I thought it was interesting, again, this whole thing of not recognizing the connection between Caleb and Essek when being so harsh on her judgments. Yeah, she's a super... she's a firecracker of a character, so...
No, I get what you're saying. It's
always exciting when you see her with, like, the more calm and reserved Caleb.
I think we'll start to see a transition in Veth, and I think we've already began to see that element. Like the whole dilemma of, like, will I change? Will I still want to be with you? Will I still want to be a Mighty Nine? I think definitely yes, but we've started to see a transition away from the Not character where she was very caring and considerate, and it's like, yes, but what about this and what about that? And going out of her way more in order to help people, and now she's transitioning into more of a carefree spirit of, I don't need to be like that anymore because I'm not ugly anymore, I'm not a goblin, I'm my normal self. I mean, there's a bit where somebody said, like, sure, maybe we should just all get naked, and Veth's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, I've got a beautiful body. So she's no longer...
She did that a lot as a goblin as well.
Not concerned as much with her image and the way people in society will perceive her. She's more carefree, that element... which kind of brought an element of humanity to her almost, and said, like, you have to be caring and loving for the people around you, because otherwise they're not going to like you, are they? Whereas now she doesn't have to worry about that. So that element that has been lifted off her, so she can be a bit more obtuse, a bit more straightforward, less diplomatic about things, less caring to some degree. I don't know if Sam's a phenomenal role player, and he always tries to influence his character's actions through what's actually happened previously. I mean, like the whole Scanlan scene of What's My Mother's Name, and the transition that brought about, and even the aftermath of Grog never forgiving him. He's always role played accordingly, but he hasn't just made it an instant switch. It's a gradual climb of realization as the person comes to understand what it actually means. So I think we've got more to see on Veth's transformation from not to Veth.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's that maybe because she did start to build up the confidence as a goblin of being like not the scared, skittish character anymore. I think being in Jorhaus for a long time helped with that, where she could be herself and not have to hide. But she is still that super kind of confident, outgoing, loud character. But seeing those changes of now, as you say, she doesn't need to hide in the Empire or with other humans and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see. And I think you're right. I think it's not necessarily done on purpose, but it is something Sam probably thinks about in his roleplay decisions because he is an excellent role player. It's going to be so exciting that we're on episode 100 and there's still so many like things that we can look forward to and like hope to see. Could you imagine if they just come out and said, "Oh, all right, we're only doing 50 more episodes," and then we'll finish the campaign?
Oh, that'd be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. No, there's still
That's
so
not a
much.
prediction, by the way. That is not a prediction.
Yep. No.
Things that come true.
That is pure.
That is a pure fear.
Yep. That is a fear.
I must admit, I'm worried that one of them is going to get some coronavirus.
Oh, don't talk about that.
Oh God.
I'm worried for everyone.
And then
I'm sick at the moment, and I'm just like.
We're all healthy adults. I'm sure most of us will be fine.
Yeah.
But it's that worry and concern of like if something.
Wash your hands.
Something happened, some tragedy occurred to the place or the people. We obviously love them very much. Want anything to happen to them, but life does throw curveballs at people.
Yeah. You just got to do your best to stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart. Yeah.
There's not a lot of smart going around.
Yeah, well, we won't get into the politics of a pandemic.
Let's talk about dragon turtles.
I feel like that's something. Yeah, dragon turtles.
Nasty fucking things.
Yeah, but I'm not. I feel like it's not going to attack them. I think it might just be curious.
Yeah.
Because I looked up like their stat sheet, like they're a neutral alignment. They have decent intelligence. Like I feel like it won't just like attack them outright. I don't know. That's just me though.
They can. It really depends on the DM.
Yeah. That's an unhomebrewed dragon.
I've seen a few where they've been, like you say, curious, or they've been messengers for higher power beings. Sometimes they take bribes. So it really depends on how Matt wants to play this one. It's interesting, he said to Travis at the end, I think Travis said, if we had gone north over the islands, would we have come across this? And Matt said no. Yeah. I'm also wondering if this was from them making fun of him doing his horn sound.
Yeah. He did roll the dice, didn't he? And he looked at
man.
I know that he loves to play that up, but it makes me wonder if this is actually him going, fine, I'll just put a dragon turtle here. But I'm super excited to see it. I love dragon turtles. I think they're the coolest looking monsters. I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender too.
Yeah, someone in chat had mentioned about that.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, lion turtles were super cool. And
I still get like
going up against a lot of big creatures like Ukatoa, like the legendary white dragon, like the dreadnought, the astral dreadnought.
Yep.
Yes.
And what else was there? There was something else. They're all like massive creatures that are just like far bigger than a dragon or anything else. So how do you fight something like that? But he's always allowed the players to resolve the combat, not necessarily with combat, like the Rock from season 1 and like Let's All Be Cows and Fly Across the Landscape. Yeah. He did allow them to resolve it through a series of persuasion and negotiation checks in order to prevent the combat from occurring. And it was one of those scenes where he says, this entire map I don't need anymore.
That was only because there was like a gnome druid there as well. This lion turtle might not have. It might do. I mean, they've got islands on their backs. It could have a spokesperson, but
if they try talking to it, it'll probably indulge them, go down that route. But
or he could talk to it, since he speaks Aquan. Well, assumably, if he has.
Yeah, he's a turtle.
Yeah. I mean, it's of his people.
Yeah.
As someone said in, I think it was the
Actually,
Reddit
how
chat.
is Orly gonna feel?
Oh yeah, Orly just like leans over the side. Oh hey dad, or like
yeah,
grandfather.
Someone on Reddit said they need the next episode to start with not turning to Orly saying, "Oh, do you know him?"
Yeah.
About the turtle. But no, if they do fight it, it's going to be super exciting because they haven't had many on like they've had fights on their boats where they've fought like harpies, and they've obviously last week they fought the spawns and that on the boat. They haven't had things where they've really had to use the boat to fight. They almost did, and then they got washed away pretty quickly. So it's going to be exciting to see them actually fight something with their boat, with the potential for falling in the water, with all sorts of things that come with that.
I noticed one of its abilities was a tail attack that pushes them 15 feet backwards, and I thought, that's going to be fun when you're on a boat. You're pushed over the side, you're pushed over the side.
A little bit like fighting a kraken, where its goal is to separate people. And then once you're in the water, I mean, you're at the...
Oh, that's terrifying.
The thing I'm concerned about is the ball eater. It doesn't have that many hit points. It's not it may have cannons, but it's not going to do much against that thing.
And if this is where we get into the What the If podcast, if it does get destroyed, they are still close to Eurekazel by the sound of it. I think he said they were skirting below it. They might not be inside of it. I was going to say though, if they shipwreck, the nearest island is Eurekazel, which we know the Yonti are there.
Yeah, one of the temples.
They're not super friendly with them anymore. Like,
no.
But no, I think I'd be happy. I mean, I want to see them fight it, but I think I'd be happy with them talking to it and like getting to know the creature.
Yeah.
How cool would it be? Here's my 100% crazy prediction. How cool would it be if the dragon turtle is like a emissary or a messenger from the Marid that they met in Nicodranus from Zundi, the water genie? That'd be cool. Huh. Yeah, because I'm waiting for them to like
finally bring that thread back.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain he's in the elemental plane of water, but still. It can happen. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Trademark.
I could definitely see that being the case, but they definitely need to get that favor from that Marid definitely at some point.
Get your wishes.
Yeah. Don't want to pass that up. But kind of going back a little bit, we can talk about the dragon turtle a little bit more, but with this failed assault on Ford and retrieving the orb, Uk'otoa probably has an endless supply of minions that he can send after him. Yes. But if he is a spiteful serpent, then it's likely he'll send a stronger force. And I'm wondering if we'll also, in this campaign, get a Kraken fight where he sends like a powerful like sea monster to go take them down instead of minions.
Maybe that's the dragon.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up. What if it's the dragon turtle? But I feel like that's too soon. Like that's too.
I feel like that's random.
I don't know. I mean, there could be more to this dragon turtle than we've already seen. There could be things.
Back to the dragon turtle.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, he's mentioned it already as an island. Described it. There could easily be things on its back that are riding it as using it as a tool. A beast of burden. I am really worried about the attacks this dragon turtle can do to that ship. I just think it's going to be sinking, and they're going to be on the rocks and swimming. Not I'll be walking, but everybody else is going to be swimming.
Yeah, it could completely destroy the ship in one turn, depending on how hard it hits. Yeah.
And they won't have enough supplies or boats or manpower in order to rescue everybody. So.
Oh no.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Marius is dying.
Yeah.
You heard it here
Maybe
first.
Maybe Marius will kill the dragon turtle.
Oh my goodness. Imagine.
Yeah, that's his first kill.
I like the bit where he says, like, so did you kill that guy? He's like, I grievously wounded him.
Oh, come on!
Okay.
It's a step in the right direction. Oh, Jay Striley saying Vandrin is controlling the dragon turtle. He's riding it. Bear saddle.
Nah. Once again, we've said it, guys. Vandrin is on Rumblecusp.
Yep. Vandrin is having a barbecue on Rumblecusp.
Waiting for TravelerCon 2020.
We are holding true.
flip out if that's the truth.
I know that's why we got ride or die with this theory.
Yeah,
we are.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I'd like to see episode 100 be Traveler Con, but I think it'd be more to Dragon Turtle.
Yeah, depending if they fight the Dragon Turtle fight might take the entire episode, depending on how bad it gets.
I feel like it could end with them getting to Rumblecast.
Yeah.
And then the next episode would be them doing it all, like setting up and then having the actual con. But yeah, it all depends on how the next episode starts, really.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's so exciting.
And because they're still, I think they traveled for like 4 days before they reached the Dragon Turtle.
Yeah.
So who knows what else could happen along the way.
I was not expecting it, because when Matt was describing like a day goes by and then the next day and then the next day, I was like, he's fast traveling them to Traveler Con. I was like getting super excited. And he's like, and then it's on like the 5th day. I was like,
oh no.
What's happening now?
But I was going a little bit back to the negotiations and stuff, how it's nice that the war is over, pretty much. Yeah. We can assume that it's probably over. There's probably still going to be some tensions and stuff. But I was definitely waiting, and the rest of the cast were also kind of speculating. They're like, I was expecting something to happen as they were leaving, like some kind of like a plume of smoke goes off, or something happens where the peace talks just totally collapse and then the war breaks out again.
Yeah.
Because it went too smoothly. But again, we don't know exactly what they talked about in the peace talks.
Yeah.
There could have been moments where there was a lot of tension and it almost, broke off and stuff, but then maybe it, was salvaged. We don't really know, but ultimately it all worked out.
Yeah.
We just don't know what both parties agreed upon. We do know that obviously the beacon was returned, prisoners were exchanged, but we don't know, the intricacies and the details and stuff.
Well, as we move into the end game, we'll probably find that there is a big bad guy, that there are a number of minions supporting them, and having 2 fully mobilized, battle-hardened armies ready to unite and deploy against that third party is significantly beneficial. Especially when I don't think they're going to go, okay, war's over. Okay, let's go back to Jorhaus. Let's go back to Rexentrum. Let's all party. They're going to stay like close formations, battle lines with no man's land. Even though the war's over, the hostilities aren't going to continue. But it's like, well, we're going to watch you and you're going to watch us, and we're just going to stay here until the end of time, or until another threat comes along. And it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario of like, you are once my enemy, I will fight with you against this gigantic sea creature, or whatever's going to manifest.
I'm trying to think, because if you think back to Campaign 1, Vecna was around kind of technically since the Briarwood arc. So it's interesting to think, because we don't have a clear big bad of this campaign.
What seed have we missed?
Right.
Or even if there is going to be a big bad of this campaign, there might not be. It might just be a lot of smaller scale conflicts that they have to deal with. I feel like it's pushing towards the Cerberus Assembly being a major focus of the end game, or that needs to be dealt with to some extent, whether they ignore it completely and are at peace with that, or if they do ninja style go in and take them out. I think the Cerberus Assembly is going to be one of the key points of that. But then you've got all sorts of things. You've got obviously the Chained Oblivion, you've got the other betrayer gods, Ukatoa, Lolth with like the inevitable end. Like, is that ever going to come back? So I don't know. It's interesting that we don't have that clear understanding, because campaign 1, even though we didn't fully know about Vecna until much later in the campaign, we did know that there was something fishy going on with the Briarwoods. With the Chroma Conclave, we knew clearly who they were going after. Had clear enemies to go after. So that's where this campaign differs so much. It's that more political grey area of who is the bad guy, who do we need to actually fight and deal with. Something has to come of Trent Ickathon. Like, that's not just going to resolve itself. For everything Caleb says and for everything says to him, I don't think Caleb's letting Trent get out alive, or at least without trying. So
I definitely feel like I agree with you saying that the Cerberus Assembly is going to be eventually it's going to be a very big story arc of this campaign, either taking them down or dealing with them in some way or shape or form. And it definitely feels like Caleb's character arc in particular, since we haven't really delved too much into characters, personal arc and his story and stuff. It's just been weaved into the campaign as they've been going along. So it definitely feels like if the Cerberus Assembly becomes a major, figure in the end game, it definitely feels like Caleb's backstory and the things he wants to accomplish is definitely going to be more end game oriented, especially since some of the things he wants to do sounds like a wish spell. That doesn't come till way later levels and stuff. So Caleb's arc will definitely be end game oriented.
If he starts to manipulate Dunamancy to the extent where he can travel through time and he can go back and change, take a copy of those people from the past and bring them into the future, that's going to get very messy very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people on both sides, both the factions, would have problems or issues with that potential of like, well, hang on, why are you bringing back your family when people have to be consecrated in order to come back in our religion, and we don't do it at all. So it's delving into a real can of worms of again, another reason I want to wait for the book to come out. Is it Tuesday it comes out, Matt's book?
It's the 17th, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
So that's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some reveals more about Dunamancy and its potential possibilities, and from that we could be able to interpolate what Caleb might be possible of doing, but we've already got a good idea.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like, I don't mean to cut you off, Elena. I feel like Vess DeRogna is obviously, well, all of the members of the Cerberus Assembly are shady people, but with Vess DeRogna in particular, I think it would actually be smart if they formed some kind of an alliance with her, because she's probably going to be doing work on the beacon that the Cerberus Assembly still has, the one they got from Pride's Call. And Caleb in particular, if he wants to expand his knowledge of Dunamancy and stuff, Vess is going to be kind of his ticket to that, in a way, if they get close enough to her. And Vess also actually brought up an interesting point, how she wants to have some kind of like a scientific technological allegiance with the Empire or with the Dynasty, and trade, different advancements and stuff.
She's the one that's interested in that sort of stuff, in like the power of technologies, which is what last week we were theorizing that's why she's interested in the North, because of the fallen city there. But what I find interesting is the fact that they initially let the Mighty Nine inspect the beacon at the sanatorium, and it was the Pride's Call beacon, correct? It was the smaller beacon.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. I find it interesting that maybe they just underestimated the Mighty Nine, but they then showed them the one that they were giving away, and it was obvious to them that it was a different beacon. So either they just said the word, either they underestimate the Mighty Nine and their ability, or they know that the Mighty Nine know that there's another beacon, and they're not bothered by it. I thought that was kind of interesting that they didn't, or maybe they did think it was a possibility and just thought they could try to risk it.
Or it's a mistake between the multiple factions within the assembly, because there doesn't seem to be any alliances amongst them. They're all against each other, like Caleb said. They're all vying for power amongst each other and for the assembly. So it's a very chaotic diplomatic structure. I presume it's like most governments operate. It's just very tooth and nail and backstabbing. But
it seems to be their goal is, as what Caleb's always said, the greater good for the Empire, but it's also their own greater good. The greater good, but our greater good, of serving themselves to serve the Empire. I can't wait to meet more of the Cerberus Assembly, figure out who we can actually trust or who is less. Because they've mentioned that, and Caleb's mentioned like, some of them are more trustworthy than others. I feel like they have a good relationship with Ormond Haas. Yeah. And I feel like he's probably trustworthy. I don't want to say he is, and I don't want to be proven wrong. But he's with Pumat Sol. They all seem pretty cool. Trent Cawthon is shit, so no. Yeah. But no, it's interesting. The Vess DeRogna is not at all how I imagined she would be. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see them, if they do work for her, what sort of work would she have them do that she would need people like the Mighty Nine.
Is it just me? Or was there something in campaign 1 of somebody called Vesta? Do you remember? Was it something to do with
Lynn? Lynn will know. I'm not sure.
What was the name when the Siege of Amman happened, and there was that dwarf that could lightning travel across the planet?
Okay, yeah. That was the one that hung out with Allura from the Philosophical.
And there was somebody that he knew. Was it somebody he knew? Or a third party? There was like a team that they had, wasn't Vesta?
Let me look it up.
I don't know. I'm just. I've had this niggling feeling for a while.
That was
somebody from the Cerberus Assembly is actually from.
Drake Thunderbrand was the dwarf.
That was it. Yeah.
And so you're saying someone he knew was.
So it was either the team that Allura sealed Thordak with.
Yes.
There's elements of that team. It's either one of them or somebody that they knew. Oh, actually, I might be getting mixed up with something else.
Dola. There's someone named Dola.
That's close to Dolan Tversky. It's close.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I feel like the name Vess DeRogna sounds familiar, but it could just be because it was mentioned at like episode 17 or like it's been around for a very long time. But I don't know. I feel like Lynn's on the case.
We need the critics to go
Eskil Rondarian. Man.
That's so long ago.
We just don't have enough information in order to formulate any kind of statement yet.
Yeah, Dolan.
We need more information.
I'm like, Dolan Tversky is killing me.
And did I miss what Not's or Veth's connection was to Dolan Tversky?
The leading theory is that she has something of Dolan Tversky. And the leading theory is that when she did her background and she did her starting equipment, a trinket that you can have is a personal item from an archmage. So it's possible that Sam rolled that and said, oh, this is a trinket that Not just has, and then Matt's worked that into the story somehow.
Gotcha.
So like a monogrammed napkin or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But whether there's any actual connection between... Like, how did Not get that? How did Not get something of Dolan Tversky? That is what's killing me. Like, I want to know because it's an NPC that's been mentioned so often, and we've only seen a very little bit of her. But who are they? What do they do?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, I feel like Tversky and Vess DeRogna might, mingle a bit more than other members of the Assembly since their fields are kind of similar.
They're into the weird shit, yeah.
Yeah, they're into the weird stuff. So if the party... This is why I think it makes sense for the story, and it makes sense for the party in Allegiance's standpoint for them to take up Vess on her offer of these job opportunities, because I feel like that'll lead to so many more opportunities for them. So I really hope they go to them.
She still seems like she... I don't think we can get any good read on her, but there was a little thing Matt did with her roleplay where you're like, oh, she's still kind of a crappy person. I think it was when Orly came up and spoke to her, and she was kind of like, ugh, like she showed a little bit of disgust at being spoken to by Orly. I was like, she's still a bad person.
Yeah. Yep.
Or like, it's still kind of, you get a bit of her personality as to how she interacts with people. So I think he played her really interesting in that of, oh yes, you're the Mighty Nine, come work for me sort of thing. But, I'm still a crazy wizard from the Cerberus Assembly. Yeah.
And now we gotta see Ormid Haas's dark side. We gotta see why he wouldn't be trustworthy. Because he's just the headmaster of...
Yeah, he's a teacher.
He's a teacher. But what's he the archmage of? Is he just...
Cultivation.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But is that like cultivation how we know it, or is it some kind of creepy cultivation? Some kind of creepy wizard cultivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he grows residuum or something, I don't know.
Yeah, and he loves... That's true.
He loves animals.
245, he loves animals. So he's fine. He's clean. He's
exactly.
the only
He loves
good one.
But that's the thing, because he's what's the term for their underlings? What Vence was to Uranus? Look to chat.
Yep.
He's
Annex. There we go.
We need to get Lynn on. She knows everything.
I know. If ever this channel gets like a subscriber button and we can get emotes, we'll have like a Lynn emote.
There's a Lynn
that just
emote,
gets spammed. Whatever.
His annex is Pumat Sol, so Thordak. Thordak was originally defeated by Devosa.
Okay.
Is that
okay?
I don't know who Devosa is.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's where I'm
Devosa is Jamon's Horde.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, that poster that they've announced. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ordered one
that poster is gorgeous.
Thanks, Jay.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just I thought it was interesting they didn't have any of the guest characters, but I think it's just the main cast.
Yeah.
So a lot of the NPCs are obviously Matt's characters, and then all the main cast characters. But no, it's so cool. There's a little bit in there. It's Grog and Caduceus clinking their drinks together.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's like
And it just even so it means so much more given both their personalities are so opposite to each other. And Grog's got, his tankard of ale, and then Caduceus got his little teacup.
We've still got the Mighty Nine versus Vox Machina one shot coming up.
Yeah.
Which everyone says is a battle royale. Has it been confirmed as a battle royale?
Yeah, I think that's the only way they can do it.
Okay, yeah. I'd love to see
even
it as a
agreed which
one
characters
shot
they're
though,
gonna
where they get to roleplay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'd be so cool just to see interactions between the characters. It is essentially fan fiction, but
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the last thing we can do is, again, we always end this with our predictions for the next episode. I would be okay with a dragon turtle fight, but when I think of a dragon turtle, I think of the lion turtles from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
So I hope they at least try to converse with it if it wants to open up a conversation and maybe figure out what its deal is. I would like a more diplomatic approach with the dragon turtle, but I would be okay otherwise. It's one of those things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it'd be sad if they killed it.
It
is a neutral creature, but what's their intelligence? They are average,
like 12 or something.
Yeah.
It's 10, but they're average. They're intelligent creatures. They're capable of communication. So it's the kind of thing of, it's not just a monster. It's something that.
Yeah. It's more intelligent than Grog.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of sad if they killed it, and I feel like Caleb and Caduceus, they do have that kind of respect for those big ancient kind of natural creatures. So it'd be interesting. Again, would love to see a fight because it'd be super cool from a D&D perspective.
Yeah,
it's a good point of FMA 245 in chat. The steam damage that it does, average of 52 damage. That's a lot, and that doesn't matter if you're underwater or above water.
That's
that's nasty.
That's like that's like an adult dragon's fire breath damage.
Yeah.
Not an ancient, but like an adult dragon does about this. I mean, it is a dragon technically, so makes sense. What's this challenge rating? 17, yeah.
But that's really going to mess up the ship as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that will.
I mean, how many hit points do you think the ship's got? 100?
100, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So 52. That's half the ship.
They do have that. They do have that good powder though.
Yep, they packed that good powder. Oh my gosh.
No. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Dragon turtle fight is what I predict. Just a massive big fight, and they're all going to be on a raft at the end of the episode. And at the moment, they're ahead of schedule before TravelerCon. I think they're going to be very close to or behind schedule by the time they get there, because I think he's going to make it into an arduous sea crossing journey. I mean, even describing the reef and saying it's razor sharp, it would be an unhappy journey if you had to cross over that. it's going to be a voyage of discovery and pain and hardship along the way, and they'll probably get back to land and then say, "You're right, not. Let's never go in the water ever again." Sorry, Ford. We're never going back to sea again. We're staying on land forever now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a real ordeal.
What's the time limit on polymorph? A minute or an hour? It's an hour, right?
An hour sounds correct.
Yeah, sounds about right.
In another podcast I watch, NADPod, they fought a dragon turtle before and they turned it into a Labrador with polymorph. So I could see maybe something similar to that happening.
Yeah.
Just not your regular turtle. But I do like someone bringing up Ford's Fear of Turtles. That fight back in Jawhouse where they polymorph the demons into the snapping turtle, which is a massive giant turtle. No, that's gonna be good. But yeah, I predict the same sort of thing. I think I don't think it's gonna start. I'd be surprised if it started with Matt saying roll initiative.
Yeah.
I think I might be a little disappointed if it starts with that. I'd like to see him give them a chance to deal with that without combat, and then if it goes to combat, great. It's gonna be an awesome fight. But no, I think that whatever's going to happen with the dragon turtle will happen, and then probably end with him getting to Rumble Cusp and either starting to prepare or it ends with him.
Yeah.
But no.
And it definitely feels like once this encounter with the dragon turtle is done, if they have more time in the episode, they might be able to reach Rumble Cusp. But it feels to me that if they end up reaching Rumble Cusp and Traveler Con happens and stuff, it feels to me that Traveler Con will take a whole episode. So I feel like if they were able to start it next week, it wouldn't be the whole thing. He might end up like cliffhanger or something. But because there's so much build up for Traveler Con, it's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be
Do you think the Traveler's been honest when he says he doesn't know what he's doing and he's got nothing planned?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just as help. I'm not entirely convinced.
Maybe not with the that second thing he said. Oh man, I'm bad tonight. But I think he's saying like, I don't know what I'm doing in the sense, please help me. Do you think he's like being super dishonest and trying to trick Jester? Maybe.
I think there's a trick behind. I don't think it's a malicious trick. I think it'll be an amusing trick. But I think he will actually show that he's got more power than he's let on or implied. I mean, I thought it was amusing when he tried to scry on him. She's like, I'm going to use the power of the Traveler to scry on the Traveler. He's like, you didn't think this through, did you? She's like, no, I didn't. He's gone.
Yeah. I kind of hope there's an old episode from The Simpsons where it's Steve Martin's playing a character and he says like, I'm not much on speeches, but you've screwed yourself, goodbye, and leaves. I kind of hope there's a similar situation with the Traveler where he's just like, yes, I am your god, bye, and just like fucks off back to the Feywild. That'd be pretty hilarious if that was a trick he was going to do. But we've said before, there's a fear that like if he ever leaves, he might take Jester with him, willingly or not. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I'm just worried about, not only am I worried about Artagan pulling something at Traveler Con that will, throw us for a loop, but I'm also worried about because the day that it's happening is a rather important time, right? It's like the veil between realms or planes is.
Is it?
I think so.
You mean the
it's like at the zenith
Winter's
or something.
Crest. Yeah, when the planes are the thinnest and you can travel between them the easiest.
Yeah, so I'm worried that if the cult of Tharizdun have been at work trying to break these chains, that maybe he might not like break free, but have enough strength to impact the prime material plane somewhat, given how the planes are going to be a bit flimsy.
I hadn't considered that possibility. I mean, they're on a volcano. The worst thing that's going to happen is it's going to explode.
Yeah.
It's actually the equinox this week.
Is it really?
Yeah, the 20th of March is the equinox.
Oh, wow.
I was just looking like, when's the solstice? Oh, that's why. When's the equinox? The equinox is this week.
Oh, it's too perfect.
Too bad.
Yeah. Do you think Matt's planned it all along?
Oh God.
Wow.
That would be insane.
Yeah,
Man,
but...
if Matt is on talks, that is a question.
Yeah.
One thing I had a question based on it was a Twitter thread I was following. Somebody said, if you've got coronavirus, what's your choice of show to binge watch? And a few people were saying, like, Critical Role, you've got to watch Critical Role. There's 400 hours of it. That's at least 2 weeks. Go and self-isolate and watch Critical Role. And a lot of people were saying the usual question of where do I start? Do I start at episode 1 or do I start somewhere along?
Yeah.
Would you recommend people start with campaign 1 or campaign 2? Personal preference. Which do you
Personal preference is how I did it because that's how I enjoyed it. So I started with campaign 2.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I started with campaign 2. I found it was, for me, it was easier to get to know the cast. I was familiar with D&D before Critical Role, but it was a good way to hone like an understanding of D&D as well. Like they were very clear in the first few episodes of C2, I felt. But you got to know the cast a lot easier. The quality was obviously a lot better in terms of the video and the audio. I felt closer to the cast, so that when I went into C1, even though it was like there was a lot of audio and video issues in the first couple of episodes, I was like, oh, but I'm going to keep watching it because I know that this is quality programming. So I definitely recommend campaign 2 to begin with. And because they are so different campaigns, like you go through the political campaign of campaign 2, I watched all of campaign 2, got up to date, then went back to campaign 1. It's nice to have that little bit of, you're watching campaign 2 each week and you're like, oh man, it's like, you know, pretty serious a lot of the times. And then you go back and you enjoy the friendly family nature of Vox Machina.
I agree with you, yeah. I'd start with campaign 2 as any.
I caught up to campaign 2 pretty much when they got to Jorhas, just before Oban and the Angel of Iron stuff started. So it was getting pretty serious and pretty intense with like Yasha and things like that. So it was very nice to go back to campaign. They're just, you know, they're fighting some skeletons in a cave.
Yeah, very cozy.
Yeah.
Simple. When they were naive and young and experienced the ways of D&D. When Laura wasn't a master tactician with cupcakes.
I don't know. She's always been pretty good.
Haggling. In campaign 1, she was more apprehensive about doing things. Yeah, she was a very good haggler, but that comes from, I think, Laura's thriftiness through her own characterism. But she was, all of them were apprehensive in like, can I try this? What will happen? Oh, what? Yeah. Whereas now they know about things. They know about spells. I quite like it when one of them says like, "Oh, is Modify Mem right? Is it? What level is it?" And
they know immediately.
Yeah, Sam knows about it because Scanlan used it so proficiently. Or Marisha's always quoting Druid.
I'm wondering, and people might know, Arcane Trickster, which is not. Can she ever learn Counterspell? Did we look that up last week? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. That sounds like a trickery spell, though. It messes with people.
Counterspell. I don't think they can.
No.
No. Dang.
That would be
a magic item.
A magic item with Counterspell, yeah. That'd be cool.
It was a funny gag when Essek was trying to teleport away.
True.
And Nott was just like, Counterspell.
Counterspell.
That's pretty funny.
She could, because it's a wizard spell, and thanks, Jace. Because they get their spells from wizard spells list.
What do you think Nott's spell is that she's working on?
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that was just a gag. I don't know. I feel like it's a gag that will be built upon to be an actual thing. I think that was just Sam poking fun at like Widogast. Because then Liam was like, "Oh, well, let's talk about it now." And like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see them developing that as an actual thing, but I think that was just straight up a gag.
But I couldn't even begin to theorize what kind of spell Sam Riegel would concoct.
Yeah.
Not a single clue.
Tried to think.
No, this is a character that commissioned a never-ending flask.
Yeah.
which is a man. I don't know. When I play D&D, if I'm given something, I immediately break it. In terms of, I make it the most useful thing in the world. I can't imagine giving someone like a flask that just never runs out of the liquid inside it. I can think of so many scenarios where that would be useful.
Yeah.
Made so many stupid magic items. I thought, yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, I'll make a magic item now. You find this in the chest, and they're like, oh, this is amazing, thanks. And then 10 episodes later, like, I'm going to use this. You're like, oh, shit.
Why did I give you that?
Yeah. Oh, no.
I forgot about that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that neutralizes the entire combat. What would you like to do next?
Yeah. The DM's worst nightmare. Magic items.
Yep. Connor Brown saying it's going to be Bernado's Fluffernutter. You know what?
Yep, that is Connor's prediction.
There it is.
Yeah, I think like not as Canon Powder Monkey might come up with some kind of Fluffernutter barrage. As
that's cool.
I'm surprised he hasn't already thought of this. Like they've experienced arcane cannons, but none of them have said like, hang on, how do we up-arm our cannons and make them better than just black powder and cannonball? Can we not have these arcane weapons as well?
They've also experienced exploding crossbow bolts a lot. Caduceus experienced them a lot.
Yeah, he experienced it very intimately.
Some kind of enchant, like spell to enchant bolts would be cool. Yeah, Bernardo's Fluffernutter.
Could definitely see that.
I like it.
But any other closing thoughts on the episode? Any other extremely bold tinfoil hat theories about what's going to happen with the dragon turtle or what they might encounter along the way?
Always got theories. No, I thought it was a good episode. Like we said at the start, it was a lot quieter of an episode. Even though it started with literally bringing two people back from the dead.
Yeah.
It was a lot more role play. I mean, obviously no combat whatsoever. But I liked it. It was a nice kind of breath before what I think is going to be
last week.
Some super exciting episodes. But no, it's just nice.
Yeah.
I will say, and I've mentioned it before, I couldn't watch it live yesterday because of daylight savings. I've said before how much I've loved getting to do this podcast with you guys and getting to talk to critters online. I felt like kind of a bit alone yesterday watching the episode. I was like, oh, I can't live tweet, I can't live thread with people, and it's actually really surprised me how much, like, in the past few months I've enjoyed connecting with people over this. So like I went back and read all the threads afterwards, and I knew I had the podcast, so I'd have people to talk to about.
I know what you mean. I see things in chat sometimes, and I was like, oh, I know the answer. Actually, live. There's no point typing a response.
Yeah. So I think it just goes to show, like, kind of how special it is that there is this community of people that enjoy the same thing you do, and you're able to talk with them like instantly. Like we're from 3 different countries right now having this conversation. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Like
one of my favorite things about Critical Role is the community. How amazing, friendly, accepting it is. It's just awesome that you can, strike up a conversation with any critter, and it'll just be the the greatest thing ever because everyone shares such an immense passion for the show.
It's the level of encouragement I'm often astounded by, the levels that people go to in order to help out another critter for nothing other than they're a critter. I mean, I've seen people at Comic-Cons giving away Critical Role merchandise. Say, here, just have it. It's like, no, do you want? I'll pay you. It's like, no, just have it, take it, go have fun. I mean, I got, where is it? My friends at work got me a Critical Role cup this week for my birthday, which I was like, wow, that is the best present I've ever had from a work colleague. Normally, as a man, you tend to get beard oil or socks or handkerchiefs or something crap. It's like an extension of Christmas or your birthday. Thanks very much. Yeah, great. But a Critical Role cup, I was like, wow, these people know me. They care. So yeah, it was very nice to get. Yeah. And I'd highly recommend these blankets, these Critical Role.
I still need to get mine. Oh, I'm left out.
They're really warm.
Soft.
I'm the odd one out.
They're really nice.
This is going to sound stupid to you guys. It's so cold here at the moment, which I know you guys will laugh if I tell you the temperature, so I won't. But it is like seriously cold here at the moment.
No, let me guess. Are we talking Celsius or Fahrenheit?
It's Celsius.
Okay, so it's about 25, 30 or something.
Oh, come on. No, I'm not that much. No, it's like 16.
Okay, that's cold.
Like 16 degrees Celsius. Nico's just like,
I'm like, yes, 16, yes, very chilly.
Cold for here, all right. And it was like 30 degrees 2 days ago, so we can't really win. But no, it's a nice blanket. You should definitely get.
Well, it's been getting warmer over here. You know, we hit the 50 degrees. I don't know what that translates to Celsius, but minus 20 Celsius.
I get
That's pretty cold.
I get that it's colder in other world. Don't at me.
Yeah.
Cold here.
But I guess one of my closing thought about the episode is kind of just like an overall thing. How it's interesting that we got to see but one of the major sparks to this war with the dynasty, stealing back the beacon way back in episode 12 of Zadash. We got to see this war from its dirtiest, most violent, parts, all the way to now seeing it come to an end. So it's just kind of this cool thing that this early thread that was happening at the beginning of the campaign, we've now seen it come to an end 99 episodes later.
And it's rare you get that with like clear cut threads ending. So even though they do say the conflict will still exist, it's like shadow conflict, but no, the actual physical, we saw that, they woke up one morning in Zadash and said we're at war, and now war is over. And
the party had a hand in that, way back when they first heard about it.
Both times.
Very early on, Bo and Caleb both expressed, wanting to see an end to this conflict very early on. So now it's over, and they had a very nice hug. Obviously, Caleb was a bit, awkward with the hug.
That was really sweet. I like that a lot. I think it was just that kind of, and you see it. I love it whenever Caleb puts his hand on Bo's shoulder. That kind of support. And I think Bo recognized that this is a truly kind of huge moment for them as Empire kids. They did it. The war's over. They did what they were trying to do, because they've been saying for so long, we want to end this war.
So long.
I remember them talking to the Bright Queen for the first time, saying we just want to end the war, and them being kind of dejected that she seemed so against it, even at that time. It is pretty huge.
Have you noticed that since we did that Valentine's project where we researched all of the hug moments from Campaign 1 and Campaign 2, any hug that appears on the show since then seems to be a very prolonged and engaging hug. It's not just a quick little hug, it's quite a long hug. It's almost as if the cast are going, we will give you the material you need in order to make next year's Valentine's project.
Valentine's Project 2.
Oh god. I'm still tired from the first one.
Well, let's start time stamping every single hug from here on out.
No joke. We could do shit.
But guys, episode 100 next week. 100 episodes already.
God. We're gonna get some decorations.
Honestly, it feels like it's gone very quickly. But I am interested to see what the next potential 100 episodes is, because we really don't know when this campaign will end, so it could go on for a very long time. But everyone, thank you for joining us for episode 7 of our What the Sheep podcast. Be sure to please let us know all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions about this episode and what exciting things are to come. Thank you all for joining us in chat, and thank you all for watching on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, or any other places our podcast is available. We super appreciate you guys joining us for these discussions. We love talking about it. Again, it's one of the most amazing parts of this community is being able to discuss Critical Role and all of the amazing stories that these people weave together. It's wonderful to see it all unfold. So again, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Bye.